Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the AoE 3 Noob Cup 2. We have our third quarterfinal series on the deck today. In the red, Shej7tan, he told me was his name. In the red, playing as the Ottomans versus in the teal, Rudi aus der Shanze. If I'm pronouncing that right, you can correct my German. Rudi in the teal, playing as a new civilization for the tournament, the Dutch. Now, I feel like we've talked a lot about the Ottomans in this tournament. They are, without a doubt, one of the favorite civs in the Noob Cup, and it does not surprise me. Their villagers spawn slowly, but spawn for free. You do not need to worry about going back to your town center to queue up more. You do not need to worry about spending 100 food for every yoruk, which is the Turkish settler. So, you have a really nice economy bonus that lends itself well to early aggression. It would not surprise me if we see a rush from Shej. It's one of the Ottomans' main strengths. Meanwhile, for the Dutch are an interesting civilization. They do not get settlers, instead they get merchants. Merchants are functionally the same as settlers, but the Dutch gather coin from all sources faster, and merchants cost coin, not food, in order to create more vills. So what we're seeing here is a distribution of Dutch villagers, 3 on coin, just in order to keep villager production going. Everything else is on food in order to get to the next age quickly. And much like the Ottomans, the Dutch have this going for them where they do not need to spend food for more vills, so they're able to get up to the next age relatively quickly. Now the Dutch have amazing skirmishers. They've got really good skirmisher infantry. They also have, if I remember correctly, they do have a unique cavalry as well, although for some reason that detail is eluding me at the moment. But what you're going to see from the Dutch, their main feature are their banks. Banks are buildings that they can put down. They cost a fair bit of wood, but they produce gold over the course of the game. And so, somewhat like the Ottomans have right now with their economy. In the mid-late game, it is so freeing to play the Dutch and just not have to worry about your coin production. It's going to constantly be trickling in for you from your collection of banks. If, of course, you've been able to put them down successfully and hold them successfully. So, this should be a really interesting matchup. At the 2-minute 50-second mark, Shej on his way up to the next age. Why are you running? Yeah. Okay, I'm going to guess, with a name like that, this is a rush strat. And it looks like a typical rush strat. Vills coming in. I notice, of course, the Janissary card, the Delhi card is ready. Those are the only unit shipments that the Ottomans really have to support their rush in Age 2. But I expect with their economy, we're going to see some aggressive action from the Ottomans. That's just my guess. I've not watched this game yet. That's my suspicion. Meanwhile, for the Dutch, Volksbank. Let's see. Merchants have already been shipped. Banks of Amsterdam. Bank build limit increased by 1 and settler build limit increased by 5. That's a pretty cool card. This is one of those cards you do not send in Age 1. I find that there are typically at least 2 different kinds of Age 1 cards. Some cards are designed to be sent early, in the first age on your way up to the second. Other Age 1 cards are cards that you will send much later in the game. And the only reason they're in Age 1 is because it frees up slots to put other cards in your Age 2, Age 3, or Age 4 zone. Alright. So this one I don't expect to see for a while. He gets up to the second age, we've got the next merchant card, but we also have the pikeman card, we have the hussar card. Now neither one of these will be that helpful against a janissary push, which, what we've seen so far from the tournament, is the main way that the Ottoman rush. So I don't know that I like either of these cards. I don't know if he has other options. What he does also have are the Irish Brigadiers. Now this would be a much better pickup, but Irish Brigs cost 500 coin alongside a shipment. So that's going to be a little bit interesting, a little bit tough. Let's see if the Ottoman player is deciding to rush. Yeah, that looks like a rush strat to me. Barracks coming out. What I would advise if I were Rudi is to move your explorer kind of back and forth along the middle of the map here. Because this is pretty typical for an Ottoman play. Go to the middle of the map, throw down a barracks. if you catch the barracks going up. Then that gives you extra time to prepare and come up with a counterattack. Or something. Pikemen coming out. I mean, they're not going to be calves, so I think the Janissaries probably win that. Although, military bodies on the ground help. You know? No matter what it is. Just being able to fight with something is useful. A barracks coming up. I like that. We need to get some kind of response ready. Shej already has 5 Janissaries on the field. 3 more coming in. Pikeman. So he knows, the good news is, using his envoy, which is, honestly, I don't really know the best way to use the envoy. It just gives you a little bit of extra vision early on. Lets you explore the map a little bit. So the envoy, I think, doing a great job in revealing to Rudi what the game plan is. What is your response? Yes, the Dutch get access to the skirmishers in the Second Age, which is a rarity in the game. I think most civilizations do not get an Age 2 skirmisher. Alright, 5 skirms coming out. This is a fantastic pickup here. Skirms will counter the Janissaries. And then, now, that also makes the pikemen so much better. Because now you're not relying on the pikemen to actually do the damage. Your goal for the pikemen is just to stay up front, soak up the damage, and let the skirmishers do work. Now, you're losing a bunch of pikemen for free here. I don't like that. Okay. It makes a lot of sense for the Ottoman to try to push into the Dutch base as quickly as possible. If Rudi invests heavily into these banks, the more banks he's able to put up and the longer that he's able to keep the banks going, the more value he gets out of them. So, again, AoE 3, strategy games in general, they are games all about opportunity cost. If you invest a lot of resources in the bank, just for that bank to immediately go down, that hurts the Dutch very badly. Now, what you've got to do, if I were Rudi, my game plan is twofold. One, get up a good, nice ball of skirmishers. And if you have, let me see, do you get access to the... You do not. Okay. I would love to see the bank wagon come in. That's a free bank. You don't have to spend any resources, just a shipment. Ooh, I really don't like this play from the Ottoman. Shej's probably going to lose a good chunk of Ottomans here. He's trying to find vills out in the open. Rudi needs to move these vills, or else Shej will get some kind of damage in.
Clyde.
This is what I was worried about. The second thing you've got to do as Rudi is have some kind of response ready for light cav, or I say light cav, heavy cav actually. This is a predictable response for whenever a player sees a whole bunch of crossbows or a whole bunch of skirmishers. You want to get out those pikemen or musketeer or something. Now, this game was played before the most recent patch that actually have made skirmishers and light infantry even worse against cavalry units, like heavy cav. So, you definitely want to make sure that if you're getting a big ball of crossbows or skirms up, always take the time to at least pump out, you know, a handful of crossbows, a handful of, crossbows, a handful of pikemen, or a handful of musketeer, just something to do with a musketeer. And make sure you keep them alive, because if you lose them, then your big ball of 20, 30 skirmishers could go down to just a handful of heavy cav. Now, this is not the situation Rudi wants to be in. Barracks goes down. He's having to idle an awful lot of his TC. I think wisely, you know, he's collecting gold, sending the Irish Brigadier card. I think he's got to make this choice and hope that it's enough to push back the Janissaries. The Irish Brigadiers are a good all-around mercenary unit. Let's see if they're good enough. We have 19 Janissaries on the field against the Irish Brigadiers, 8 of them, and the militiamen. Militiamen, in my opinion, should be front and center, absorbing damage for the Irish. is a tough spot for Rudi to be in. Yeah, here we go. The last of the Irish Brigadier. And at this point, looking at the Dutch, I mean, you've got a Hussar card. Hussar will do absolutely nothing against Janissaries. You have to, you know, maybe go raid with the Cossacks. Have you guys been noticing that one of the favorite strats in this tournament is the early game rush? It is very popular to rush opponents in this game. We're at the 10-minute mark, and this thing's already pretty much decided. It's very important if you're going to play some kind of fast fortress play or more of a defensive play that you have some kind of response ready for a rush, especially if you see a civ like the Ottomans, you see a civ like maybe the Russians, or some of the Native American civs are very good at rushing. It's important to have a plan up. We've talked before about, you know, how can we prepare against rushes, and I think last time we focused in on Age 1, but I would add that in Age 2, what you may want to see is more in the way of like outpost wagons. A lot of civs have, you know, 2 free outpost wagons you can ship down. There are politicians that will give you resources or give you buildings like outposts to just sort of help you repel and push back against early aggression. Because that's the situation that, you know, Shej7tan here has invested so heavily into the early push. And if that push were to fall apart, Rudi would have a pretty significant lead and you know, take the game in the next age. But if it's successful, as it is here, we're down to 19 merchants for the Dutch versus 32 vils, Yoruks, for the Ottomans, as well as an awful lot of Janissaries on the field. It's great to have skirmishers, but 5 skirms, even with their bonus damage, will not stop 30+ Janissaries. I think that Shej is playing it a little safe. He doesn't need to play it safe. I mean, this game is over. Here we go. What are these guys? The Evzone. These are, oh, this is pretty cool. These are native camp units. I think this is the first time in the tournament we've actually seen native camp units. Let me find them real quick. Where are you? Oh, maybe these are cards. Yeah. Yeah, the Evzone is a, it's a Greek skirmisher with high hit points that's particularly strong against heavy infantry. All right, Rudi calls the GG. That is game number 1 for Shej7tan. Moving on to game 2. Okay, guys, here we are in game 2 of our 3rd quarterfinal series. Shej7tan versus Rudi Shanze. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Shej in the red, playing as the British. Another classic, both in terms of AoE 3 generally and in terms of the Noob Cup in particular. If you guys have been watching the tournament so far, you know the British have been seen an awful lot in this tournament. Doesn't surprise me. They are a very popular civ, particularly for newer players. Being able to pick up an extra villager with every manor house you build is a really nice bonus. It sets the stage for a great early economy. Meanwhile, Rudi in the blue, playing with a civ that we have not seen in the tournament yet. I'm really excited about this. Rudi playing as the Haudenosaunee, formerly the Iroquois. The Haudenosaunee are the first Native American civ that we have seen in the tournament so far. I have featured them on my channel before as a kind of a civ with a very strong potential rush in the early game. So maybe we see some rush action. Otherwise, the Haudenosaunee are often considered one of the easier Native American civs to play because compared to the Aztec or the I'm forgetting off the top of my head what the other civ is. You got the Aztec and the Inca, but then you have the Haudenosaunee and the, is it the Lakota, I believe? Yeah. Unlike those, the Haudenosaunee are the closest in mechanics to the original European civilizations. So I don't think we should see too many surprises, but we'll keep our eye on what the Haudenosaunee bring to the table and see if there are any unique mechanics we can draw out. One thing that we can say is if Rudi's planning on a Haudenosaunee rush, I do expect... oh my goodness, what is this? Rudi going up to the second age only on his original 5 villagers. He is sacrificing everything for an early, I presume, an early push. The messenger. Let's see what the messenger ships. If I remember correct, it's a travois. Let me see if I'm not mistaken on that. Yep, there we go. A travois is a kind of like a wagon that you can use to pop down all manner of buildings right away. And Rudi, I'm really shocked. Just staying on infantry. I mean, just staying on infantry. Just staying on his original 5 vills. Not a soul is advancing forward. So, yeah, he's going all in on a push. This is wild. Wow. So, okay, we're picking up the Town Destroyer, which makes the War Chief significantly more effective at besieging town centers. And I would imagine, if I remember correctly, too, in the War Hut, the Bowman is a unit that only costs food. So I think the game plan here is to upgrade your, your Explorer, your War Chief, so that he does significantly more damage against buildings. All right, that has already come in, so we can see here, Siege Attack has jumped up from something comparable to 18 to 232 siege damage. If Shej7tan does not realize what's going on, then this town center will go down just on the basis of the Explorer alone. Here comes 4 Hyena, which are the Haudenosaunee Bowmen, to support the War Chief. Now, my suspicion is, let's go over here. If Shej, who's only just now getting up into the second age, he does have the resources for a militia. Yep. The Hyena have to take out these militiamen in order for this tactic to work. The town center is almost down. I have never seen this strategy before. This looks like it would be wildly effective. Maybe if Rudi... I'm sorry, Rudi. If, if Rudi had waited just a little bit, got up a few more, military units, and then started the push all at once, this TC probably goes down. It's less than 1,000 HP left. But, with that out of the way, I mean, at this point, you're talking about 5 vills. I wonder if, what is this here? The War Chief is better in combat. I wonder if he should put some vills on coin, revive the Explorer, and then just try again. And try to just knock it down in one go. The thing that's scary is, even if you knock out the town center, the British can still grow their economy thanks to their manor houses. It may not be quite the killing blow that he hopes it is. Okay, yep. Militiaman going down. Prince Harry. Okay, yep, the Explorer up. All right, let's see if this TC will go down. I'm imagining it will. Let's find out. Oh, one more lob from the Explorer. Oh, and there it is. Unbelievable. If nothing else, I've got to, give a tip of the hat to Rudi just for trying a strategy so wild that I've never seen before. Now, I would imagine the game plan here is to, you're shocking your opponent and trying to demoralize them, but really, even with the town center down, I think that Shej is in a much better position. We got 21 vills, 2-5. And let me see, are we producing vills? Now we're producing vills. So, Shej already has 400 wood, which is enough to rebuild a town center. Now, I know that in Age of Empires 2, if you lose your starting town center, you can build it back in the second age. Even though normally you can't build a second TC in the second age. But it looks like, yeah, you are able to do that as well in Age 3. Yes. Not only that, but the Explorer is able to do that. And so, you know, other than the shock value, 21 Vils for Shej, 7 Vils for Rudi, you're playing from behind, even with the successful destruction of the TC. Here we do see Musketeer coming in. The Aena ready to... Now, if Rudi plays his hands right, the Aena as a bowman do bonus damage against Musketeer. And the War Hut also, like the Blockhouse, has a ranged attack. So, maybe he could buy some time. But I think that Rudi is playing from behind here. While we're kind of in this stalemate moment, let's go ahead and look at the map real quick. We are playing on... It does not say. But we're playing on a peninsula sort of map. We have kind of a main island. It looks like a fish head, doesn't it? You know, got a little fish mouth right here. So we've got this land mass right here, allowing us to just focus on land war. But again, we have water with an awful lot of resources available on the map if you are inclined to take advantage of it. And I think that would be a pretty good pickup for either player trying to, you know, build a strong economy into a mid-late game sort of scenario. And Aena goes down. I'm not sure what the goal was, but he does see the TC is up still. The Musketeers. Now in the Haudenosaunee base. Stalling the economy that he has. Ah, good. Bowmen are on their way. The bowmen should probably be able to push back these Musketeer. The combination of bows and the town center fire will do a lot. Okay. Shej is working on his 25th Vil. Got some longbowmen in the bank. I wonder if he'll just stay in Age 2, get up a big military push in Age 2 and end this, or if he's going to try to go to Age 3, build up a really strong economy. Again, we've got the 25th Vil coming in versus the 7th Vil for the Haudenosaunee. Excuse me. I do like the idea of taking out the War Hut first. And just sort of ensuring that, you know, your opponent is kind of locked into whatever they've got. You know, yes, the Aena beat the Musketeer, but every Musketeer lost is fairly easy for the British to replace. Every Aena lost is an extremely difficult replacement for the Haudenosaunee, particularly because, again, you know, you don't have a barracks up, so you can't replace these guys easily. There's the barracks coming in, the War Hut. So you got that costs, you know, however much food. And then you got to spend, I'm sorry, that costs wood. And then you got to spend however much food to get more bowmen up. So this is a tough spot to be in if you're Rudi. I've said it before, I'll say it again. If we deleted both players' militaries off the map, 7 Vils versus 32 Vils now, does Rudi, you know, stand a chance? I think he put everything in this very early gambit. It was a lot of fun. I'm really thankful he did it from the, you know, just the excitement of the Noob Cup point of view. That was really great. And I really like the raid here. Yes, I'm not sure why he's not engaging on those Vils. It's a great idea to go in, try to get as many Vil kills as you can, try to... yeah, no, I think this is a mistake. I would not destroy the barracks. The barracks are fairly easy to replace. Attack the economy. If you're lucky, and, you know, Shej doesn't see it, you can knock out his whole economy, and you're, you know, kind of back on even footing. That's a little bit of a gambit, but you're sort of in a position where you've got to make a gambit. War Hut goes down. The Hussar will ensure that the Vils have to go into the town center. TC falls. I assume it falls. Both players are in H2. So you could send Tomahawks. And indeed, Rudi is sending Tomahawks. Tomahawks are the Haudenosaunee version of the Musket Man. They are a heavy infantry unit, particularly good against cavalry. So they're trading more or less evenly with Musketeer. I don't know if those Tomahawks even come out in time before the town center goes down. Yeah, now the Kanya Horseman is raiding, which is good. Yeah. Rudi now has no Vils. And a couple of horsemen trying to...
Ready.
A couple of horsemen trying to take down this town center, but this game is over. I mean, you cannot come back from this position. You know, your opponent has 24 Vils, a big ball of Musketeer and Hussar on the field. You know, you've got 2 Kanya horsemen. A couple of, yeah, I mean, this is over. I think if you were going to try this, I did love the idea of this surprise attack. That was really cool. But I think that what was needed were, before starting to attack the TC, bring in some more bowmen. Maybe even a Tomahawk or 2, you know, because if you're dealing with the SAR, you need to be able to respond to them. Which, if I remember correctly... No, it was Musketeer, wasn't it? So, the bowman would be great against the Musketeer. So having maybe, you know, 5 more Musketeer or, you know, 1 or 2, just a couple of Tomahawks to deal with Hussar would have been a really good choice. And that might have made the difference, but honestly, I mean, that's the risk you run when you go for an all-in strat right out of the gate, not investing in economy at all. You win or lose in the first few minutes of the game. And here, I do think that Shej's taken. So, I'm going to go ahead and say it. This is our 3rd quarterfinal match. Shej7tan takes it. Moving on to the semifinals. Rudi, thanks so much for playing. Really appreciate having you in the tournament. And, you know, committing not just to... one thing I want to kind of give a hat tip to Rudi on is picking, civilizations we've not seen before. It's really cool to be able to see the Dutch and then the Haudenosaunee, you know, played in this tournament. So Rudi, you know, great pickups from that point of view. It's just fun to see a mix-up like that and to see the variety of civs that AoE 3 can bring to the table. And then on top of that, some interesting strategies here, particularly in H2, with the all-in, I think it was Town Destroyer. Wasn't that the name of the card? Yeah, the Town Destroyer card. Just with a strategy I have never seen before. I'm sure that it's out there. I'm sure he was following a build, but I've never seen it. So that was really cool. Let's go ahead and speed up the clock a little bit. Because at this point, Rudi should call the GG. This game is over. I think. Let me see. Are there even any buildings left? Yeah, both players kind of taunting each other a little bit. Okay, there we go. That Explorer comes up. And there we go. The game is over. Both players wrapping up with some laughter. Guys, thanks so much for watching this series. We have one more quarterfinal tournament left. And then we move on to the semifinals, and then the grand finals for the AoE 3 Noob Cup 2. I hope you've enjoyed the journey so far. I know I have. If you have, like the videos, subscribe to the channel. Stay tuned for what's coming up next, because I assure you, the games are only going to get more intense from here. Thanks so much for watching, guys. For now, this is the Iron Kaiser, signing off.